Hi, I'm Alan and welcome to Expert Village. Today, I'm going to show you how to build your very own personal computer. Let's go real quick through the basic components that you need to get the system up and running. So, what are the components that are going to do this? What are the essentials? Well, first, a computer case would be a great idea. This is just a basic one. Came without the power supply, but this is going to house pretty much everything for you. Now there's different size computer cases and things like that, and for the most part a lot of these boards, like the motherboards like this, are ATX, or you'll see micro ATX. So make sure that the case really complies with that, otherwise things are not going to fit. And also make sure that it is long enough and not too small, because sometimes, you know, components may be too much of a tight squeeze. So you want to have room to play with everything and expand and do all of that. And also, you can really find some good deals on cases, you know, just depending where you look. I just bought a Cooler Master case, really nice. And just be careful with it when you're removing some of the metal, because you might cut yourself. Some of the stuff is very sharp. But besides that, what else are the components that we need? Next component would be just your standard hard drive. I'll discuss hard drives more in detail in another segment, but that will definitely be something key that you'll need to get up and going to load your software on. Depending on the type of hard drive, you either get the IDE cable that comes with it in the box, or the SATA cable, depending on the type that you need. We also have the floppy drive. Now some people don't use these anymore. I don't have them in my system. I actually took it out and just don't need it. But if you pick one up maybe at a show or something like that, online for 10 bucks or so, and you want it in there to keep all your old files readily available, good choice to have. Definitely not an essential component. Of course, we need the motherboard, because that runs everything and that will fit into the system there. And I'll talk about this a little bit more, all the different features of it. You have your chip, which is the CPU chip, which is right here, which is something that's purchased separately. And if you can see that, I believe you can, which is right here. That's the CPU chip. And that's going to be definitely a main component, part of the computer working. The next piece is your memory module, which is right here. Depending on how much memory you want to pick up, that's going to be something that's essential to making the system work. It won't work without it. Another thing is the CD drive or a DVD drive. You're going to need something to put your Windows disk or your operating software disk in, load everything up, so that's a good piece. I usually pick up another fan for the system case, things like that. You don't need it, but it is something good to have. They're usually cheap. Pick those up pretty much any computer store. You have your extra cards if you need a video card or sound cards, things like that. Big thing are all the screws. And the screws obviously come with all the components, things like that, but sometimes if you go on eBay, you might want to pick up some extra screws just to have them laying around. And now lastly, of course, we need the heatsink that comes with the motherboard chip, the CPU chip, and the fan. But the biggest thing is, to turn all this stuff on, you're going to need a power supply. Discuss power supplies a little bit more in detail in a few, but that's going to be all your major components to making your system work. We have the power supply, the CPU, the heatsink and fan, any additional cards, motherboard, hard drive, memory, DVD, and a floppy drive if you want it, extra cables, extra fan. That's going to get you pretty much going. Of course, don't forget the case.